Just your average everyday trucker, keeping it real. I'm your host, Chris Blodgett, and you're listening to Real Talk Tuesday. This week's topic: even on your most broken days, get back up. Hey guys, welcome back. Welcome back. As always, appreciate you guys being here with me this week. Hope everybody's doing well. Hopefully you guys had a great week last week. Hope you guys enjoyed the story of Friday. Doing my best to keep this going. Keep all these episodes posted every week. Get them recorded, and keep showing up for you. You know, it's all about consistency. And like I mentioned, I have this problem that if I let myself slack off even a little bit, almost thought I said slock off. If I let myself slack off, I'm tired. But if I let myself slack off even a little bit, I'll just record next week. That's fine. I mean, yeah, you know, if you can stick to that. But my problem is I'll put off, I'll put it off. And be like, I'm just gonna, I'm gonna take a week off. I'll come back next week. But then when I try to come back the following week, I don't feel like it. I'll just take another week off. It's tough, especially with my schedule. It's like I don't really have a whole lot of time off or downtime in general. So it's like it is way too easy. Hell, it's way too easy for me to just like be a little bit lazy and to let that kind of consume me a little bit. Hell, I deal with it during the week when I'm doing my routine. I'll whether I'm at like Lenexa, getting loaded, getting ready to head to St. Louis, or if I get down to St. Louis. Like last night when I ran, payday, obviously with like the paycheck was hitting. So by the time I got to St. Louis, the paycheck had hit, so I had some stuff I had to take care of. Had to pay the cell phone bill. Wanted to order a new pair of work boots, because the ones that I have, I've had it for like 9 months, and they basically been worn down pretty bad on the bottoms. So like when they were brand new, like even though they're not necessarily quote unquote like non-slip, but because of they're good boots. They got from Skechers. They're the kind you get, just tie Ideally, you tie once and then just slip your foot in. But of course, like throughout the time I've had them, I've had to tie multiple times because you know, even when you double knot them, as time goes on, like you realize they're getting a little bit loose. You gotta tighten them up a little bit again. But then I noticed the last couple months, or last 2 or 3 months at least, I'll be walking into a truck stop and they'll have just like mop the floor or something, or it'll have been after like the snowstorm or maybe it rained, so there'll be like, you know, wet floor. Walk into the bathroom and immediately feel my feet kind of slip a little bit as I'm walking in, and I'm like, yeah, these are probably getting bald on the bottom. So before payday, I kind of figured, all right, I gotta go ahead and bite the bullet, order a new pair. I think I noticed that I started to notice slip a little bit around the 6 month mark. So yeah, probably about 3 months back, because we've been up here about 9 months now. And at that point, I was like, oh yeah, I don't want to buy a new pair yet. I want to wear these as much as possible. But you know, I think the deciding factor for me is not necessarily just the bottoms. Like the bottoms, it's fine. They're not like ball. I mean, I still have traction, somewhat, you know. But it's mainly the soles inside the boot. You know, when those start to kind of wear down a little bit, to the point where like you're feeling. I think I actually wore through. I had like one sock. I was, you know, that when I changed out when I got home, I can kind of feel it when I'm walking around. I'm feeling like I have this, and I don't know, maybe I had something in my sock. Maybe that's part of why it wore down. But I had to throw a sock away because, of course, like right on the ball of my foot, there was a little bit of a hole on that sock, and that there's a little bit of a worn down patch on that part of the boot inside the boot or whatever. So it's like, all right, you know, when you start to feel like the inside of the shoe kind of start to like wear down, you know, where you get some rough edges or whatever, potential for like blisters and whatnot, then I usually go like, all right, it's time to replace them. But if it's just the cosmetic stuff, the outside of the shoe, whatever, usually with that, I'll try to wear it as long as I can and, you know, push it as long as I can. But not a cheap purchase either. We're talking like, I mean, I thought they were like $80, but when I did the purchase, it was like 115, 120. I was like, all right, well, I know they last me a while, so that's fine. Technically, I can still wear the current ones. I might just save it for like, if we're gonna go out on like, you know, go out on a walk or something at the park. I've got these slip-on shoes at home if I'm just going out and about, but you know, where they got technically they're enclosed toes, but you slip your foot in them, so they got open back but enclosed toes. They look like little sneakers, honestly, just with an open back. And I don't know if I'd want to wear those on a long walk because I might be shuffling my foot a little bit more. So I might still wear these boots if we go on a little bit longer walk, but save the new ones, have that be strictly for work. You know, try to make it last. But so the inspiration for what we're talking about this week. Kind of comes from, and I know a lot of us might deal with like mental health issues. You know, sometimes it's anxiety, sometimes it's depression, sometimes it's both, sometimes you know, sometimes it's those plus other stuff. I know for me, I do deal a little bit with anxiety and depressions. Of course, like things that have happened in the past, things that are currently going on. Hell, sometimes it can be, I think the right word would be exacerbated or just made worse by other things that have happened. Like, for instance, one of the things that, you know, if I did a different topic other than what we're talking about this week, would probably be something in the line of kind of like what I did a video you know, went ahead. I've done a couple videos actually recently about the whole, you know, all the stuff going on in the country currently. You know, I've mentioned in previous episodes that, you know, if people out there, if want to support the protests going on against ICE, American citizens being deported or being detained and disappeared, which not legal if they're, you know, if they're not criminals, they've never done anything wrong, and they're citizens. Then legally, they should not be having happen to them what's happening to them. On my level of tiredness, I'm surprised I was able to actually say that sentence without like fucking it up. Because being, you know, when they say like sometimes depending on how tired you are, it's basically the same as being drunk. Now, am I intoxicated? No. But I do have my moments where having to change lanes because, oh, okay, wow, that was interesting. I just passed a FedEx pup trailer, just kind of in the road by itself. I'm like, somebody lost a trailer. I'm like, oh wow. I hope they realize they lost it because that's just, the trailer's just back there. Wow. I'm maybe like half an hour from Lenexa, whatever. So on my way back with my return trip, you know, got a loaded container trailer going to Lenexa, then I'll drop that trailer and basically, you know, do all my post-trip stuff, put myself in personal conveyance, off-duty driving, whatever, and bobtail back to Casey Mode. But I saw that trailer kind of like just that's off to the side a little bit, kind of sticking, like pointed towards the side, the guardrail on the right side at an angle, kind of. And I was at first I thought that's a weird angle for a FedEx truck to be parked at. I was like, oh, that's just a trailer. Like, oh wow, okay. It's like I didn't see anything in the road like that. A trailer came loose and basically skidded to a stop. Especially because if you're going full speed, a trailer, I don't think a trailer would just go off, veer off to the side and stop. I'm pretty sure a trailer, if it fell off of or came off a dolly, pretty sure that it could flip or probably smash through the guardrail and end up, you know, off the road or whatever. But that was still on the road. It was just off the side a little bit. Like, that's weird. I don't know. But of course, you know, if somebody did lose a trailer, you know, it's gonna be pretty easy for FedEx to track down who that trailer was attached to before, and basically be like, hey, do you realize you're missing a trailer? Oh shit. Man, that's why you gotta check your connections. No cars involved though. I didn't see a car, I just saw the trailer, so hopefully, you know, if it looks like if somebody did actually lose that trailer off their dolly or off the back of their truck, hopefully no other cars were involved. But I know that trailer wasn't there when I came out this way on my way to pick up the load at Lenexa. But so I have there's moments that I have. Well, first of all, like one of the things that, you know, when I was saying like maybe something like events that might have happened that might actually make your you know, your issues worse, like might struggle with your anxiety or depression a little bit more on some days because of something in life that might have gone down, like with the protests and basically anybody that's trying to figure out, well, how can I support, because like, you know, I don't feel comfortable getting on video, and anybody who's tuned in to my previous Real Talk Tuesday episodes the last couple weeks, I've mentioned that, you know, do little things like repost whatever. If you see something that somebody recorded, you know, repost it. You know, if it's basically like you think that's the truth or whatever, and you're trying to support anyone, you know, the idea of sharing it to your stories or reposting it is basically put what you're seeing, put that in front of you know, as many eyeballs as possible. Like that's how protests in general work. Like they more people to get out there and throw a fit about, you know, injustices and stuff. That causes who's in power to have to take a really hard look at what they're doing and basically, is it worth it? Because we have all these citizens that are, you know, basically protesting about this stuff that we're doing that's wrong, and, you know, then all of a sudden, oh, well, we're going to pull back, or, oh, we're going to go ahead and indict this person that shot this other person, you know, and, like, stuff happens because of protests, like, versus, like, a tyrannical regime, authoritarian, whatever, like, they don't want their people to resist at all. They just want them to go along with what they decide is best. But, and I don't know if I mentioned in the previous episodes, but basically, as far as like events that happen that might make your, you know, might make you struggle a little bit more. As far as my siblings go, pretty much the only one in his family that I've actually had the most contact with compared to my other siblings, basically my brother Josh and his wife. You know, since you know, and I kind of figured when I was sharing stuff, like, you know, seeing these videos and stuff, like, it's like the two creators that I've mentioned on here, which there's a couple more that I got to get their Instagram usernames or whatever, Instagram handles, and basically share them on here. But the two that I can definitely give you are Klein.kt, KLEINE.kt, and then the Naked Truth HQ. I believe she's on TikTok and Instagram, because whenever I see her videos on Instagram, they have that little Instagram handle on the right hand corner, or the TikTok handle at the bottom. So I'm pretty sure it's that she has the same handle for both. But you know, so anything that I've seen that, or for me, it's true. It's like, hey, okay, this looks like, when it's a video that somebody recorded that it's not edited, or it's like they're sharing news articles that are like the administration calling, you know, protesters terrorists, or, you know, saying that they're right to kill these unarmed people, whatever. Anything, like, if you see something, it's like, okay, well, that, like, obviously, like, I've seen all these different angles, like, they were trying to drive away, they weren't trying to run them over, but yet the right is saying, you know, well, obviously she used her car as a weapon. It's like, no, obviously she didn't. Like, she was trying to drive away from him, and he stepped in front of her and shot her. So it's like, so what happened, when it started, I kind of figured that by me sharing stuff in my stories and reposting stuff, basically just try to support and, you know, put the word out there, you know, so that other people can see the same stuff. So hopefully we can inform more people that might be, you know, just hearing what's on the right, but not actually looking at stuff. But then if they see this video evidence, hell, my bro Rico. You know, not really. I mean, he's not my biological brother, but basically, you know, they say sometimes, when they say, like, blood doesn't necessarily make you family. So, like, I don't hear from most of my family. I talk to my parents, you know, like, talk with my mom pretty regularly and stuff. So, love you, mom and dad. If you guys come upon this podcast, I'll admit, like, they'll probably be like, well, why haven't you told us you have a podcast? I think I might have mentioned it to him, but I don't know. But I'm, you know, when I think about it, when chatting with her, I kind of hesitate, because I'm like, yeah, I mean, she might listen. I don't know. But especially maybe she listened to the stories or whatever, and be like, wow, you're a really good storyteller. I'm like, well, thanks, Mom. I appreciate that. when I'm telling the story, I don't think I'm a good storyteller. But then when I listen to the story afterwards, I'm like, hell yeah, that was actually pretty good. You know, I don't give myself enough credit, that's for sure. You know, but I kind of figured with sharing stuff to my stories and stuff, I hadn't heard any flack yet as of last week or the week before, whatever was happening. Time blends together for me when I do my 6-day work week. It's like, when was that? This week? Last week? I don't remember. Because then my Sunday's off. It's like, it just flies. I mean, the week lately, because I'm so used to the routine, my week thankfully goes by pretty quick too. But my day off, it's like, I'm off. We do a couple things. I hang out with my wife. And then I blink and I'm back to work on Monday again. It's like, I'm tired. So but thankfully, like, I've, you know, since it's been like 9 months and I have not taken much of a break except for like a day extra here because of like weather or whatever. The next month I'm taking 2 fucking weeks off. The plan was to go down and see my parents, take my youngest down with me because she's like, let me know when you take your time off because I want to go. Oh, okay. I was like, cool. I was like, but it sounds like my youngest sister, I guess she's on spring break from college too, and I guess it sounds, when I mentioned to my mom, hey, I requested these days because this is, you know, her spring break. I'm taking that week and the following week, so if you guys are up for it, we can meet out you guys Saturday or Sunday. Probably leave on Friday. And my mom was like, well, that's her spring break too. We're gonna be up. I think she said she's gonna be up here in Kansas or something. I don't know. I don't remember exactly what she said. Meeting some people. I don't know if she's getting into the dorm or if she's. I don't know how far through college she is. If she's getting ready to graduate, whatever. Because I know it's been a minute. Maybe they're meeting roommates or something. I don't know. But it's like, we're gonna be up there. We're not gonna be up there all week. And I was like, well, I mean, we can come down later in the week, but I'd have to get her back up here to, you know, get her back home by Sunday night because she still has school till May unless she gets her classes done early. And I was like, she can't miss any school. And my mom was like, well, I mean, we could probably come out towards KC. I'm like, oh, well, because they're coming up in a motorhome, I guess. I was like, well, if you want to, is that we have an RV park not far from where we live. So you guys are welcome to come out. You want to come out for a day or two, whatever, and we can show you the house. You can actually see all the rest of the family you haven't seen in like 10 years. Well, they've seen me and the kids and the grandkid. They haven't seen Allie, you know, my oldest. They haven't seen her and Alex for decent, probably like 5 years. It's been a while, maybe 4 years. But me and the youngest, we went up there probably, I don't know, 2.5, 3 years back, and probably 2 years at least. And that's when we got my grandfather's old Buick. You know, we were coming out there with a car trailer because they were giving us that car. I was like, yeah, we'll take it. Why not? It'll be my youngest's car once I can fix it up. Do some restorations on it and whatnot, you know. But so that was the plan, was to go down and see them. And when my mom told me what they were doing, what they were planning, when I was like, yeah, we can come down later in the week, but I'd have to get her back here by Sunday. And then she was like, well, we might be looking out there towards you. I'm like, well, that's cool. But so I started making other plans, like, hey, maybe I'll go somewhere else. Like, you know, my youngest, she hadn't said anything, and I made a comment about like, oh, maybe we'll go down to Nashville. I was like, I got, you know, because have some stuff that technically gotta take care of down there that, you know, haven't been able to get down there. And when I mentioned, well, maybe we'll go down to Nashville for like 2 or 3 days or whatever, 2, 3, 4 days, whatever, just catch a hotel and hit a couple restaurants that, you know, that we don't have up here. My daughter was like, well, I was gonna suggest like maybe we could go to Nashville, but I didn't know if that would be too long of a drive, you know, with going to Oklahoma. I'm like, it is a long drive from Oklahoma. It's like 800 miles, but from here it's like 500. And I mean, I'm willing to, because I could do the drives. Like I even thought about like, hey, go down to Nashville for a few days, take care of what I got to do down there, and then turn and head towards Oklahoma to see my parents. And then come up here, and literally would be like 2,000 miles on the truck. It'd be like 500 to Nashville, 800 to my parents, and 400 up here. It's not quite 2,000. We did kind of that little round trip from Nashville before we, drove out to see my parents for a few days while my wife, she came up to Kansas City. Pretty sure it was around the 4th of July. We stayed like 4 or 5 days with my parents, and then came up towards Kansas City with my Ram. So it was like 800 over there, 450 coming up to Kansas City, and then basically 550 or whatever to go back to Tennessee. So yeah, it was about 1,700 miles, But if we were to go to Nashville from here, it'd be Nashville, then I guess it would still be about the same distance, I guess. But that's not what's happening though. I'm gonna go to Nashville for a couple days. Reached out to a friend down there that I've been occasionally going back and forth with voice clips, like, hey, we might be down there in the area in about a month. I was like, if you want to meet up, do dinner or whatever, or just hang out, whatever. And I have not gotten any reply back from him since that last message. I'm like, well, I told the wife, I reached out and told him we'd probably be down there, but I haven't heard anything back. So I was like, well, if we're in the area, I'll kind of just reach out and give you like, hey, we're down here. If you want to meet up, let me know. If not, that's cool. It's like put the olive branch out there. Like, hey, we're out here. You don't want to meet up, that's cool. Whatever. I'd probably just go back to just messaging every once in a while and be like, well, I was here and you didn't reply, so you can only put effort into those that put effort into you. That's my belief. Like, if you're trying with somebody and they basically blow you off or whatever, it's like, all right, that's cool. But to get off, ramble a little bit. I figured posting stuff to stories and sharing stuff that I would eventually hear something. Like, I would eventually have a conversation probably with a family member that's MAGA or whatever. Since I know my brothers are both MAGA, so I was like, I was surprised since my oldest brother kind of has like he's white, but his wife is Hispanic, so his kids are half white, half Hispanic, but they look more Hispanic than white. So it's like, I was surprised to hear that they were hard right, conservative, Bible thumper. I say Bible thumper because she literally. So here's the thing. I get in these. I think it was last week or the week before, I randomly all of a sudden just started getting these Bible quotes, Bible verses, chapters, whatever, for my sister-in-law. And of course, I'm like, oh fuck. So. And she sent me a couple of them. I was like, what does this have to do with what's going on? And she sent me a couple more, and I'm like, again, what the hell does this have to do with what's going on? Well, everybody has free will, and God's in control, and blah, blah, blah. Like, ICE is law enforcement. They deserve to be respected. I'm like, ICE is a regular law enforcement. I was like, just because they'll put on the police vest or whatever. I was like, they won't wear it, but I was like, regular cops, when they go arrest somebody, they're not wearing masks to hide their identity. It's like, they're not. I mean, yeah, there's gonna be, obviously there's bad cops out there too, but right now there's a lot more bad going on with what's currently going on. Hell, like, if you even search it up, there's been even ICE agents that have done the Nazi fucking salute. And then the funny thing about that is, I saw something where it showed a ICE agent doing a Nazi salute, and a black kid doing the Nazi salute back to the ICE agent. I said, wow, holy crap. people out there try to, especially the hard right MAGA, just like there's no relation or nothing similar to the Nazi area back in 1930s or whatever. I'm like, really? I was like, I'm just look at the Nazi. There's fucking Nazi salute. They're all dressing like it, like the Nazis back then. It's like, oh. So my sister-in-law randomly just started sending me all this shit, and I'm like, Sonia, what the fuck? Like, what do you? Why are you sending me? I was like, because I could send you verses. I could look up stuff in the Bible too, and I can send you stuff that'll argue against what you're using your verses trying to argue. That's the problem with the far right, with far right conservative. I say Bible thumper because they say we're Christian, and she was like, I know the Bible inside and out, and this verse and that verse, and like blah blah blah. And, we're supposed to respect the people in power, and that's when I was like, are you saying that Trump was put in place by God? She goes, well, yeah. Okay. So by that argument, I guess you're saying that Hitler was put in place by God too? Absolutely. He let God allowed it to happen, and blah blah blah. Then eventually used the U.S. to free the Jews. Like, so you're saying that Hitler was put in power by God, and then God was okay with millions and millions of Jews and whoever else. Since I know it wasn't just Jews, I think it was mostly Jews. But I heard there was like political enemies, like political opponents, other people that spoke out or something got arrested, sent to the concentration camps. I was like, so you're saying that God was okay with millions and millions of people getting murdered, and then or burned alive, gassed, whatever, starved for at least 10 years before they, the rest of the Jews got liberated. Nazi Germany was defeated. I was like, you're saying okay? She's like, well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Okay. So I've seen a lot of posts out there talking about how they disconnected from loved ones because of the fact that it's no longer just a political debate. It's a morality issue. And so, like, if people in your life, let's say you're trying to do what you can, you try to share what you see on there, try to share that they were murdered, people are disappearing. Trump literally trying to take over elections to like make the midterm elections so that the Republicans, the Republicans have control over. Like, he's trying to nationalize it pretty much, put ICE in the polls. He tried to do that one. It's like the SAVE Act is what it's called, where basically he's trying to make it where you're required to have I think a birth certificate or a passport that actually has your name, that's the same as the name on your either a birth certificate that has the same name as what's on your ID, which for many millions of women who've been married, their name doesn't match their birth certificate name, they won't be able to vote without having to go and get like a passport or something, which from what I've actually read and stuff, that's not constitutional. Like, it probably shouldn't pass the House and the Senate. I think it passed the House, but I've heard it that legally, because of the Constitution, it shouldn't pass the Senate, because that's people that would have to go out and pay money to get like a passport or something. That's technically a poll tax. They have to pay money to be able to vote, and that's not constitutional unless the government gives like free, does like the passports or identification or whatever for free without any cost to American citizens. Then then that's one thing. But so they're trying to do that, and my argument was basically with my sister-in-law was like look, like, if you're okay with all this stuff going on, I was like, like, you can quote Bible verses all you want and try to use it to justify what's going on, which is a very big conservative move. That's what they try to do. oh, this verse, this chapter, this verse, blah blah blah, it says this. And like, oh, it says in the Old Testament, we have to be respectful and listen to people in control, and listen to our leaders of our countries, blah blah blah. And like the reason why this is happening, similar stuff is happening like it did in the 30s, is people don't learn. I'm like, what do they not learn? That we should just sit back and not do anything. I was like, because back then in the Nazi era, as far as I know, I don't think there's as much protests, because they didn't have like the same outlets like we do. Like they didn't have like social media, but you know, those that could protest, like they're German women that had Jewish husbands that were taken to concentration camps, and these German women showed up in force demanding their husbands be released. And at first they were told to go home, and then after they were there long enough, they did actually release their husbands back to them. So they saved their lives. But nowadays, with social media, it's real easy to, oh, cool, that's actually a really good point. I think people should see this. And so you share that to your stories, you repost it, or do a stitch, you know, or you can add your like a video of you either before or after, or you reacting to the video or something. Pretty easy stuff to, you know, or if you have a platform like this, you know, if you have a podcast, or if you're a YouTube creator or whatever, just, you know, just put it out there, you know, just whatever you believe in, whatever you want people to know about, put it out there with your stuff. Like, hey, I saw this earlier. I've had a couple videos actually, like for the most part, I haven't had any comments on most of the stuff I've shared, but lately I have had a couple of the videos that I've shared to from like TikTok to my Instagram as a reel, and then I was getting some of the comments on that reel on Facebook, you know, about like the Epstein files and stuff like that, and the DOJ basically trying to steer people's focus from that to other stuff, and, you know, defend Trump and the other people in his cabinet that basically been mentioned in there, and saying that Trump needs an apology instead of the victims, you know, needing an apology or whatever. So I shared that, and I got like 5 or 6 comments, and like one of them, I'm not entirely sure, it's like the Grant Cardone account, because his comment basically said something like yeah, she's a disgrace, whatever. But I'm not sure, because it was a lady that was in the video that was going off on the DOJ person. I don't know if he was talking about her or if he was talking about the lady that she was going off on, which I'm thinking that, like, maybe he was referring to the lady that's, you know, trying to defend Trump and whatnot. Because then all the other comments were like, yeah, but they don't want us to talk about this stuff and stuff like that. And I didn't respond to any of them. I just kind of like left them. But that's literally the whole point when you have any outlets at all, or if you see videos that you think, oh yeah, I think people should know about this, then you just share them, and other people, yeah, they could comment and say that you're like, say that you're ignorant or whatever BS comments they're gonna make. So this kind of takes me back to dealing with my sister-in-law. You know, when she was making the comments about Hitler, yeah, he was put in power by God, he allowed it, he used the U.S. to save the Jews. Like, I was like, okay. I was like, it's not. I said, I have to disconnect from you and my brother. I was like, I understand where you're coming from, but at the same time, you're wrong. I was like, because it's like picking and choosing different verses of the Bible to try to back up, you know, the argument you're trying to make. I was like, that doesn't make it right. Like, that doesn't make murder of innocent people, you know, right. And especially because, like, when you look back, little things like we've had some of the creators that have shared their stuff. They've shown differences from, like, back when, I guess, what was it, Kyle Rittenhouse or something, took a weapon he didn't fire, like a assault weapon he didn't own, across state lines into a protest and kill 2 people. Everybody in the right, like the you know, hard right, conservative, you know, oh, he had every right, he was illegal, he was a hero, blah, 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 you know, but then you got the situation currently, you know, they got Trump in office, and they, you know, they had that nurse, Alex, that didn't even pull, he had a weapon on him, but he had his concealed carry license on him. Perfectly legal, never pulled the firearm. ICE took the firearm off him, and then they shot him 10 times, and then made that comment about, isn't it like Call of Duty, isn't it? And then, you know, so now the hard right is basically like, well, it was really stupid, like, it was his fault, like, he you know, he went there intending to cause trouble. He shouldn't have had a firearm on him. He's a terrorist, and everything. And so, I disconnected from my sister-in-law. Basically told her, like, I wish you the best. I said, I really hope ICE doesn't come for you and your kids, because, like, you guys are, like, yeah, your parents came here illegally, and you were born here, and your kids are born here, but technically, you, like, your parents came here before you were born. So, what Trump's trying to do is basically just, you know, he's trying to make it all white in the country. He's literally trying to do away with birthright citizenship. So, but my sister-in-law, well, as long as you do everything right, you know, and, you know, like you should just comply if you get pulled over, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, okay. I was like, if that's really what you want to believe, you think that, you know, we just need to do what ICE tells us to do, whatever. Don't resist. Just, you know, quietly go away to that little concentration camp or whatever they're taking you. But don't challenge it. So I was like, I gotta disconnect from you. Wish you the best. You know, can't do this. You know, like I love you guys, but you know. So then I blocked her on Instagram, and then I just deleted her and my brother on Facebook. I didn't block them initially. A couple days later, my brother gets, you know, I get this message from my brother. He sends me a video showing, like, there's ICE agents that are, I guess they're dragging someone to a car, and there's people that are screaming at them, and I'm guessing I couldn't tell in the video because of course they had masks and stuff. I'm guessing they're black because these people that were yelling at them were using the racial slurs, the N-word and stuff. Fucking N-word, blah, 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 blah. Of course, the ICE agents were like, watch your fucking language. And, you know, they're like, fucking N-word, you're next, blah, blah, blah. And my brother's like, thoughts? And I was like, okay. I was like, yeah. I was like, there's... And well, my first thought was, well, how do... Because then there was a guy that was doing this video. After they showed the clip, he came back and said, well, see, like this is just an example. You know, on the left, like, you don't hear them screaming and going up in arms about these people, the way they were talking to ICE agents or whatever. But yet, if the right does it, it's all. And I'm like, one, how do we on this video alone? Because, you know, this video was your view. Obviously, you're MAGA. I was like, how do we know these people in the video they're yelling at? How do we know they're not MAGA people? They're screaming this at ICE agents. There's no way to tell. So I was like, all right, well, one, how do we know that that's left, or people on the left, they're yelling this at the ICE agents? And two, obviously there's bad on both sides. So then I sent a picture, or I took a screenshot of, there's a Twitter X post that Trump did, where he did a picture of the Obamas looking like monkeys. And I was like, so I sent him that picture. I said, what about you? Thoughts? Well, like, I mean, yeah, I saw that picture, but just take it out of context. If you were to look deeper into it, they could dig in other people to blah, blah, blah. Like, you know, he's talking about, like, you know, gun owner. Like, if you want to ask me about the Alex Pateri shooting, and what I thought about that, like, obviously, like a lot of, I have a gun owner as well, and other gun owners have said it's very irresponsible to go to a protest with a gun, blah, blah, blah. And so I you know, and he's like, well, I was overseas and blah, 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 I saw a lot of stuff, and so, like, you know, you're like, you only did a small thing in the military, so, like, you know, like, I see all your videos and your posts because you're ignorant, whatever, and like really need to look around, brother, blah, blah, blah. I was like, Josh, are you fucking serious? Like, really? I was like, Josh, like, he didn't, like, he legally had a right to carry a firearm, and he didn't pull the gun off, he didn't take the gun off himself, he was disarmed. And then they, you know, the ICE agent shot him 10 times, and then joked about it being Call of Duty. Just pulling up here to the Lenexa hub really quick. And it's raining, yay! But thankfully I don't have to do much. Gotta drop the trailer. I don't mind dealing with rain when it's not when I'm not dealing with doubles and stuff. Like if I'm just doing single trailers, I can deal with it, it's fine. Deal with doubles, I mean it's not raining hard, so I can deal with it with this rain. But I've done doubles where you set up 2 trailers in a dolly, and it's got like, it's like monsoon weather where you're like drenched in like 2 seconds in the rain. Because it takes you a little bit to hook up 2 trailers in a dolly, so it's like, if it's coming down hard enough, by the time you're all hooked up and ready to go, you're like back in the truck, turning the heat on, because you're like, oh my god, I'm cold. So, but I basically, you know, probably a good 5-minute clip. Actually, it's probably a 10-minute clip. With my brother, I was like, are you fucking serious, Josh? I was like he had a legal right to carry. Like there's no legal justification for them shooting him, and he had the right to have his gun on him. I was like, what are you talking about? You know? I was like, come on. Looking around here, seeing if I can where I can drop this trailer at and stuff. Because here at Lenexa, it's kind of, it can be a little congested out here. But I'm gonna put you guys on pause real quick. Hold for me for just 1 minute. It's gonna be like 5 minutes or whatever for me, but like 30 seconds for you guys. So bear with me. I'll be right back. And we're back. Sorry about that. Appreciate you guys. Appreciate y'all hanging out and be patient with me there. Actually, technically, even though I said it'd be like 10 minutes for me and like 30 seconds for you guys, it was actually still like probably 15 minutes for me, because I went into Line Haul to talk to them about that trailer. Because I didn't get the trailer number, but I said, like, I went in there, I was like, hey, you guys don't, like, in order for you guys to track trailers, you gotta actually have the trailer number, correct? Like, yeah, I'm like, okay, because there's a trailer that's on the interstate that's just by itself, you know, not on the shoulder, just in the traffic lane. They're like, where? I'm like, on 435 south of 70. It was like, it looks like it might have come off a dolly or something. They're like, oh shit. I was like, yeah, I mean, I got a bobtail back that way to go to Kansas City. I was like, so I was like, if I'm able to, I'll try to see if I can, you know, do a figure 8 loop around and you know, try to see if I can get a number for you and call you, but I don't know if I'll be able to because it's on the other side. So I'd have to literally go north, get off the interstate, turn around, go south, stop at the trailer, call them. And I figure it's like, if somebody lost a trailer, it's kind of inevitable. They're gonna eventually find out, and the trailers were dispatched, attached to certain trucks. So whoever lost it, maybe they're thinking that, oh, maybe they won't find out. They're gonna find that trailer on the interstate and see who it was attached to last. So, but they were like, oh my god, it's like, it's in the traffic lane. I was like, yeah, it's on the interstate. Like, it's not, there's no shoulder there. It's literally just like, oh my god, like, yeah. I was like, the nose is down a little bit, so I was like, I didn't see like pavement being messed up, like it dragged on the pavement or something, but it could have just slid and not really damaged the pavement too much. But I don't know. So back to what we were talking about. So had that little back and forth with my brother. Again, hadn't blocked them yet on Facebook. I just unfriended them. And then, you know, he's telling me like, oh, like you're just all this thing you're posting because you're ignorant, this and that, whatever, and you just don't know what's going on, and blah blah blah. And I was like, Josh, like, I was like, are you even fucking looking around? Like, are you watching what's happening? Like, how can you? I was like, you know, your wife fucking got in my inbox, quoting Bible verses, this and that, whatever, trying to, and then I was like, she even said that, like, Hitler was put in power by God. I was like, really, Josh? Like, really? It's like, huh, okay, you know. So, I was like, look, like, it's a morality thing, Josh. Like, I gotta disconnect from you guys. I'm sorry, you know, but, like, if you guys honestly support all this that's going on, and you think this is totally cool, but yeah, when it was like Biden or Obama, oh yeah, well, your regime, your guy that you blindly follow is like literally a convicted felon. Literally is at the Epstein files 30,000+ times or more. Like there's documentation about how bad of a guy that guy is. But oh no, that's all Democratic hoax, it's all propaganda, blah blah blah, whatever fits the narrative. What the? It's like, I don't understand. That's probably why, like, honestly, with the raw chat, you know, it's like, if I get those recordings, you know, if I do the raw chat and the keep it real, then, you know, there'll be an episode. But like the keep it real probably those ones are probably more likely to happen. Raw chat, if it happens, we'll get an episode, but I'm not really too worried about it since I realized that one of the drivers, she was talking about like whatever fits the left's narrative, you know, making comments that made me go, oh, she's definitely hard right MAGA, you know, because it's all about, oh, it's the left's propaganda, their narrative, blah blah blah. And, oh, that nurse that got shot, what was he doing out there? And then, like, he was trying to protect someone else, like he didn't have his weapon out, he was, you know. So sometimes you got, that's why when I had the episodes about like you gotta protect your peace, you know, like you gotta, like, if you can't handle it, you can fight, you know, like support, whatever, do it. But if it ends up making, you know, if dealing with people like that, or like my brother and sister-in-law, if it just basically ruins your day because of how extreme yeah, there are extreme on both sides, I'm not gonna lie. They're like, that's why I told my brother, I said, yeah, there's bad on both sides, you know. But for the most part, the extreme ones that have been really extreme have been on the right. Like they say that the left is all hate, whatever, and yet the right are the ones that basically stormed the Capitol and threatened to hang Pence. And, you know, they're all pardoned by Trump, saying that they're patriots, but anybody that comes to a protest, they're terrorists. So it's like, and my sister-in-law arguing about like Chris, brother, you look at it, all the left stuff, you gotta look at like libertarian websites. Like I look at it from all angles. I'm like, do you really though? Because if you looked at it from all angles, you'd see that Renee Good that got shot in the car turned her. I said there's a video that shows 5 different angles. It shows the tires being turned away from the agent, and he stepped in front of her to shoot her. I was like, she was murdered, Sonia. She was not. She wasn't trying to run him down. She was using their car as a weapon. No, she wasn't. That's like, or then arguing about the nurse having his legal firearm on him. All legal gun owners will even tell you that that was stupid of them. Like, but yet, you know, Kyle Rittenhouse, oh, he lawfully, like, he was a hero and blah blah blah. And he had every right to have the gun. You know, like I think it's the Second Amendment. I'm not a gun owner, so I'm not 100% sure. Plus, I'm tired, so I probably wouldn't, you know, it's like, I might know it, it's just right now, I'm kind of like, end of my day, I'm ready to go home. But, back with, you know, with that incident, it was all like, oh, gun rights, blah blah blah, he had a right, blah blah blah. Now it's like, oh, he shouldn't have had the gun on him. That was stupid. Like, it's his fault he got killed. Okay. But little distracted, little off topic, I guess, because of that whole little temporary break. You know, getting the trailer dropped, getting back on the road to head towards Kansas City. But let's see. Just try to think here real quick. You know, I said before that, like, when I was chatting with Barry on the Keeping It Real segment, where I mentioned, like, you know, when you get like halfway through a sentence and all of a sudden your mind blanks, you forget what you were talking about, and then a little while later in the conversation, he was partway through making like saying something. Then he goes, "What was that you were saying earlier about being halfway through a sentence and you're you know, having a brain fart and forgetting what you were saying?" I was like, "Oh yeah, you know, getting old, man." But oh, okay, that's because I was thinking about what was the topic for this discussion again. So basically, on even on days when you're most broken, get back up. So I guess the point of all this talk about my sister-in-law, my brother, and the political situation is basically like sometimes dealing with a lot of that stuff that you're passionate about. You're out there fighting the good fight. You're helping you're supporting the protests going on. You know, you're sharing stuff to your wall. You're reposting videos from TikTok and Instagram, whatever, to get the truth. Basically, for me, I look at it as getting the truth out there in front of as many people as possible. I told my sister-in-law, I'm like, I'm not left or right. I'm independent, and I'm looking at what happened. I was like, I'm not looking at like from the right's perspective or the left's perspective. I'm looking at, hey, I saw this video where it showed 5 angles and it showed tires turned away from, like, it circled the tires, showing they were pointed away, or in videos showing the agents take the gun off of Alex, and then the entire group shoot him 5 times. And then in the video, they turn up the little volume part, or the little audio part of it. And then basically you can hear the agents talking about, like, it's like Call of Duty, isn't it? So I was like telling my sister-in-law, I'm like, I don't look at left or right, I look at what happens. Like, I look at the evidence that's out there, and I'm like, okay, because you know, like, I'm not Democrat or Republican. I voted both sides. I voted Republican, I voted Democrat, and then I voted third party because I didn't like either candidate. So it's like, you gotta vote your conscience, even though nowadays, though, it's like, I kind of agree with those creators I told you about, the Naked Truth HQ, whatever. She's even talked about, like, I'm not a fan of the Democrats either too much, but from experience, I've seen a lot more, you know, occasions where when the Republicans have the House and the Senate, we have a Republican president, whatever, a lot of shit goes bad because they're basically focusing on tax breaks for the rich and whatnot, making things harder for everybody else, and blaming the Democrats for stuff. But then the blue, you know, everybody goes blue, and then there's job growth, the economy gets better, whatever. And then of course we have Republican candidates that'll run, basically blaming Democrats and this and that, whatever. So the people that are hard-right conservative are saying, well, yeah, like Obama and Biden were like this and that, whatever. They let millions of people in, but then they're saying they're deporters in chief, and they deported more than Trump. And it's like, if you Google it, yeah, they've deported more than Trump has, but from what I read online, a lot of their deportations were people as they came into the border. Like, it wasn't like what ICE is doing right now, like going into people's houses and people that have been here for 30 years, dragging people out of homes, or profiling them because they look different. They, you know, arresting them and detaining them, even though they're legal citizens, to then let them go later on. Or some of these people have been deported, sent out of the country, even though they have, you know, they've been here, they were born here, they have all the right stuff. So, and some of that stuff kind of go with today's topic, which kind of feel like I ramble a lot, but it's all important, I promise. But sometimes when you deal with that kind of stuff, whether it's fighting with family, that you're just like, how the hell are you? Because when I cut my brother off, when I went ahead, I did actually go ahead and block him and my sister-in-law on both Instagram and Facebook. I went ahead and restricted their numbers on my phone as well, because I was like, well, I don't want them to text me either, because they probably, birthday was the other day, turned 43, happy birthday to me, he's out here working, wasn't really able to do anything, of course, out here working. Got plans for Sunday when I'm off to probably take the dinner, almost said take the dinner to family. To take the fam to dinner or something, go out to eat or do something. It's always fun when you're, basically like, it's like your birthday, but you're the one treating the fam. That's like, so, but that's why I'm grateful for my parents too. I don't even ask for gifts when they say, hey, what do you want for Christmas, or what do you want for your birthday? I'm like, Texas, for me, it's like a steakhouse gift card. So like down in Nashville, it was like, hey, Logan Roadhouse, or whatever. Or up here, it's Texas Roadhouse, because that's the steakhouse that's near us, and really good restaurant. And like, we literally have gone there a couple times, and so if you're ever anywhere near Blue Springs, Missouri, or whatever, Texas Roadhouse. I know they've been some Texas Roadhouses that have had bad reputations, like they found stuff in like the rolls or whatever, but the one out there near Blue Springs, Missouri, it's like they've always been really good. So that's pretty easy, I'm like, yeah, Texas Roadhouse gift card, so they usually send me like $100. Like, yeah, I appreciate it, Mom. I'm like, I don't get steak often enough. That's kind of why when I'm requesting anything for like a special occasion, it's usually a gift card to a place I might want to go, to eat or whatever, so that way I can treat myself sometime. Or, last gift card I had, I used that towards a date night with the wife. Went out there and got their 16-ounce sirloin, whatever. I had never before, like I've always done onions, peppers, and mushrooms on my steaks. I have never even thought about gravy on my steak until when we first moved up here, and like the first couple of days we were staying in the hotel because like we didn't have our stuff for 4 months. We officially moved in a couple of days after we got here. We got stuff from Rent a Center to have like bedroom sets and stuff. We had to make it work until while we were fighting for our stuff to get delivered. But I took the fam to Texas Roadhouse for dinner, and I was like, hey, what's your lean to steak? Because I understand the whole fat on your steak, it gives more flavor to it. I'm like, I get you, but I like, my problem, you're already paying way too much for a steak, and then you got to stay the steak that might have like 2 inches of fat on it or whatever, or more. Like, then you got like gristle, and you got stuff you got to cut off, and before you know it, this 14-ounce steak, you got like a third of it or whatever in gristle and fat that you had to cut off. So I like to get the ones that are really lean. They're like, so they were like, yeah, we'd recommend the sirloins because those, like, literally don't have, like, they're really lean. They don't have the fat on them. They're just like one lean cut of meat. Like, cool, all right. Versus like the other ones have, like they said, have an inch of fat on them. Because it's more flavorful. Blah blah blah. Like, I don't care about that. I mean, I do, but I'd rather be able to eat more of my steak than less. And be like, well, it tasted better, but I had less. So, went there with the fam, and basically, I was like, yeah, can I do onions and mushrooms on my, on my steak? Like, yeah, would you like gravy on it too? I'm like, really? I can do that? Well, yeah, absolutely. I'm like, is that pretty good? She's like, it's amazing. I'm like, all right, well, like, sure, let's do it. She's like, white gravy or brown gravy? I'm like, man, you're just throwing all sorts of curveballs at me today. I was like, what's better? She goes, brown gravy. I'm like, okay. So brown gravy, onions and mushrooms. Gotcha. Yes, ma'am. Oh my god. I was like, fucking amazing. If you've never had gravy on a steak, oh my god, guys, you gotta try it. some people out there probably like, oh my god, that sounds disgusting. It's not disgusting. It's fucking amazing. If you like gravy. Obviously, if you don't like gravy, you know, but you like onions and mushrooms, then forego the gravy, just get the onions and mushrooms. But, so, used the gift card recently, did a date night with the wife, whatever, and, of course, just got another gift card from my parents for my birthday, which I appreciate that. Thank you, Mom and Dad, love you. It's funny, I've been talking with my mom a lot more lately. I guess probably because she realized that out of all our sons, I'm her exact words. I'm not exactly that at least she has one son that's not delusional. I'm like, what are you talking about? And I found out my older brothers are both MAGA people. I'm like, really? So before I ended the clip with my brother, I basically was like, hey Josh, you know, one, how's your relationship with one of your kids? Because, you know, with your first wife, because one of my nieces, I'm not gonna say her name, out of respect and stuff. I think I'm connected with her sister on Facebook, but haven't really chatted or whatever. But she was in the Navy for a while, and I believe she's got like a long-term. She's had a girlfriend for a while. Because I was like, because MAGA is all, you know, you're thumping the Bible at me, but you're trying to quote the Old Testament, but yet a lot of that you're quoting is also against, you know, gay or LGBT, like homophobic, transphobic, against women's rights, and a bunch of other stuff. And it's like, so I was like, how's your relationship with your kid? Because I'm, you know, pretty sure she's, you know, doesn't fit within the conservative narrative, as they like to use their words against it. And I was like, so I love you, Josh. I wish you the best, but you know, it's like I really hope that the ice doesn't come for your wife and kids someday, because then you'd be like, oh my god, we're citizens, so we've done everything right. Just like that's the same thing that people that were innocently dragged out of their houses or whatever, and thrown into cars and disappeared. They were yelling, I'm a citizen, and ICE being like, I don't care, because they're like the Nazi SS police or whatever. They don't care. You look different. You weren't born here, or you were born here, but your parents came here. They immigrated here, or whatever. Which, let's face it, guys, we're all immigrants. Like, none of us. Unless you're like Native American ancestry and stuff, then we all came here from across the pond and stuff. We all immigrated here, like we came here and took the country from the Native Americans. So, you know, one thing I do not like about it, you know, trying to deal with being out here in the rain is like, makes the road darker, so sometimes it's harder to see like the lines or whatever. So on this stretch it's not bad, but on 70 it was like quite a bit where I'm going, I can't see what lane I'm in, you know. I'm trying to stay away from like, the cement barrier on the side. So to kind of go with this topic, it's like, man, I changed lanes to get away from this other truck, and you change lanes to stay near me, and I'm like, all right, I'm gonna speed up and try to stay ahead of you again. So when you deal with stuff like that, sometimes it can put you in a funk, you know. And so, especially when you're tired, sometimes for me that makes it worse. And I'll randomly just get overwhelmed by like how I'm feeling or whatever, you know. And so, like, I've had days where I am so exhausted that, and like when you're off, you have enough sleep, then you feel better. You know, but then when you're dead ass tired and you're like mentally, it's like your brain fried. It just hurt, it's almost painful in a way. And so I've had days where like I'm pulling into the hub and I'm listening to some songs on Spotify, whatever, and randomly I just start to feel overwhelmed. I kind of get choked up, like and trying to keep myself together. You try not to cry because you're just in the feels. You got the heartstrings getting tugged by something, or you're thinking about what's going on, the stuff you had to deal with recently. Which for me, it's like it was sad because my brother and my sister-in-law were part of my family, sibling-wise, that I actually talked to the most. Like my other brother kind of disowned me years back, something that had nothing to do with it, but he's pissed off at me about. So, and then my younger sisters, really don't hear from them. Like my one that's just younger than me, I haven't heard from her in like 20 years. I've heard that she hasn't been like returning any phone calls or texts from any of the other families, so I don't know what's going on with that. But then she actually liked one of the things I reposted. One of the videos about stuff that's going on. I had reposted something on Instagram, and basically was like, oh, she liked her post. I'm like, oh wow. I guess we know she's there, and I guess that tells me where she stands on the issue. But they were born overseas, because like Korea and China and stuff. So it's like I would be really surprised if they were actually Trump supporters. I was surprised enough that my brother and my sister-in-law were Trump supporters. I'm like, so, and here's one of the things, like, and when as far as like, it's interesting when you're not necessarily looking right or left, you're just looking at what's going on. Like you're looking at what people are posting. And so I saw this video yesterday. It's funny, we see these videos that are like former MAGA people, and they're talking about, man, I just realized just how like I had to, it took me a while to realize what was going on and how bad things were, and I had to separate myself from them, and I started looking objectively, and I started seeing what was really wrong with the MAGA crowd, and like I didn't see it before because it was brainwashed, whatever, and I'm like, wow, okay. So saw this video, and it was this guy talking about he was when Trump was in office for the first term, this guy was coming up on his 20 years or whatever in the military, getting ready to retire, and he said at first he hoped that, because there were things that he didn't like when Obama was president, he hoped that Trump would pull back a little bit, but then there was actually, they were doing more of it, and he was noticing this, noticing that, like especially with like the insurrection on January 6th, saying that like it's supposed to be a peaceful transition of power, and a bunch of other stuff that he was mentioning. It's probably like a 10-minute video, but he's mentioning all these different examples. He's like, so these are prime examples of things that have stood out to me. Why I kind of stepped back, and I'm no longer in the MAGA crowd, because I've realized just how bad the hard right people are, and that's not what I stood for when I was in the military. I'm like, it's funny coming from somebody that was previously in that crowd, but then they started to kind of see years of their ways, and especially mentioning things like when I told my mom what my sister-in-law, all the different Bible parts she was sending me, and my mom even was like, yeah, they're picking and choosing what they want out of the Bible to basically try to argue their point. I said, yeah, that's a pretty common hard right conservative move. Like, I'm Christian and like blah blah blah. And then if you look at this verse, it said it's anti-gay and this and that. And my sister-in-law, yeah, we gotta support the leaders of our country, this and that. I'm like, God doesn't put bad people in power. Like we have free will, and with that free will, people will vote people that are bad into positions of power and give them the power to do the bad things that they end up doing. But then we also have the power to try to see the error in our ways and do something about it. So, but I've had days where literally I'm just like, I feel like I just want to crawl into a hole. Like I'm like the the anxiety and the depression just hits. You just get that overwhelming sadness because of how things are, and I'm sad because of the family that I literally just blocked and separated from, because it's like, look, like I'm already stressed enough. Like I'm already stressed enough as it is. I don't need to be dealing with their bullshit too. Like making my way up here towards Kansas City, and I'm keeping an eye out on the other direction to see if I can see that trailer still in the roadway. Haven't seen it yet, but I'm kind of just keeping an eye out, because I mean, that was like within the past hour, so somebody might have already showed up and gotten rid of it, but there were no flashing lights or whatever. It was just literally the trailer just off by itself. So they were like, it's on the roadway, not on the, like, no, it's on 435. Yeah, it's on the interstate. Like, oh shit. So, but we experience things like that with, you're trying to get stuff done, but you're overwhelmed, just you're struggling or whatever. All we can do is just get back up, force yourself to keep going. It's easy to quit. It's easy to basically be like, I can't do this anymore. Like, this is just too hard. And to basically walk away and give up. But the harder choice is to basically, drag yourself back up, take another step, just keep going. That's all we can do. No matter how hard it is, no matter how difficult it feels, no matter how depressed you might be because of whatever's going on, you're fighting the fight. You feel like, you're trying to accomplish something. You're trying to, maybe it's not even the political stuff. Maybe it's, you're trying to make your life better, and you're one roadblock after another, and you just don't know what else to do. You're trying, taking you forever to get where you want to go, and you're just trying to make it. Or if you're fighting a fight, and you have those days where you just get overwhelmed by the anxiety, depression, and stress, whatever, because of, you're just like, will I ever get there? Will I ever accomplish what I'm after? Will this ever happen? It's got a air light on the truck saying parking light malfunction. I'm like, that's interesting. But just gotta get back up and keep pushing. That's all you can really do, guys. So on that note, since this has been a pretty long episode, that's pretty much my main point I was trying to make with you guys. Just, there's days when things are rough, days when it's hard. Just get back up, do what you gotta do, keep going after goals. You know what I was saying with those examples with like Thomas Edison and the light bulb. He didn't fail 1,000 times. He found 1,000 ways it didn't work, and on the 1,000th first try, he finally found something that worked. So get back up, try again, try something else. Or if you're fighting, if you're doing you're out there trying to support people that are fighting the good fight, and you're overwhelmed with that or whatever, and let's say you had to disconnect from family, which it's heartbreaking and sad. It's like, you don't want to cut people off that you care about, but at the same time, it's like they say, it's not a political issue anymore. It's a morality thing. So it's funny. I'm still watching to see if I can see that trailer, and I haven't seen it yet. I don't know if I might have passed it, not seen it, you know, but just keep doing what you're doing. Whether it's fighting the good fight, whether it's going for what you're after, just keep doing it. Keep fighting. Get back up. Keep putting one foot in front of the other. Keep trying. Keep supporting. And everything will work out the way it's supposed to. You know, you'll get where you're trying to go. Yeah, I didn't see it. Like, I see that where they're circling around, getting from 70 on to 435, but I don't see the trailer. But it's pretty dark over there, so I don't want to get off and go that direction to see if I see it. Because watch it be gone, I go like another 10 miles back towards Lenex and be like, yeah, it's gone. So, not my problem. I told Lion Hall about it over at Lenex this. They're aware that there was a trailer, and I'm like, well, I don't have a number for you, so you guys are just gonna have to. Somebody else will tell you about it if they see it, or a truck going that. Maybe they didn't drop it. Maybe something happened with the trailer or something, and they had to drop it there. I'm like, yeah, but you should have at least dragged it off the road. Now, I think they lost the trailer off the dolly or whatever. So anyway, guys, that's pretty much all I got for you tonight. But you know what I always say: keep pushing forward, keep believing. Believe you can, believe you will, and you're already halfway there. And then you just have to go out there and do it. Keep getting back up, no matter how bad it feels, no matter how hopeless things feel. Just keep getting back up, keep trying, and keep supporting. Like, if there's something you believe in, if you're trying to support those that are out there fighting, don't give up. It's harder for those in power to ignore everybody when the voices are getting really loud. They gotta basically, they gotta either try to silence us, or they gotta turn around and try to change what they're trying to do because of how bad it looks. So, from what I've seen, there's been waves where, like, we go red, and people think, oh yeah, like, things are really great under the Republicans, but then things get really bad, and then we see a blue wave, where like the House and Senate become blue, and they actually fix what went wrong, and then of course, like, the Republicans again will turn around and say that all this negative stuff is going on because of the Democrats, and so then people will believe them, so we'll go red again, but then things will go, shit will hit the fan, and we'll go blue again. So it's like, one thing I agree with NakedTruth.hq, she said that, yeah, both parties suck, but she'll always vote blue just because they're the ones that actually try to actually make things better, and be there for the people and not just for the rich. Like, I'm not gonna lie, like, I would totally be for things like universal health care, and there was like this one candidate, I think his name is Andrew Yang. Really wish he would have had a shot, because he talked about, like, one of the things he campaigned on was, like, everybody in the country getting $1,000 check every month. And there are people that are like, oh no, that's socialist shit. So you're telling me if somebody was in office and everybody got $1,000 check every month, even though you believe they want socialist, whatever, I'm pretty sure you would still find ways to spend that $1,000 every month. I wouldn't complain at all. I was like, yeah, that would help. Any extra money that I could get coming in, hey, that would be great. But, to be all handouts, whatever about that. I don't want to pay my share of taxes because I have all this money, and I think that all this tax break. If you got tax breaks for the rich, it should be the same. You should have similar stuff for the lower classes that aren't making as much, but they're still getting taxed the same percentage. gotta have ways to even the playing field a little bit, so it's not just, hey, I have billions of dollars, millions or billions, and I don't have to, like, I have all these things I can do, so I pay zero, but yet everybody that makes $50,000 or whatever a year, paying like $15,000 a year in taxes or something. Not exactly fair. And then of course those are the people that they need the income a little bit more than those that have the higher wealth amounts, because they make less, so they need they have their income is more needed than if you have a lot of disposable income, but you don't want to, I'm not saying that I think the rich should give half their income to people. I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying that, there's got to be a better way to do things to where the country as a whole benefits, But anyway, guys, not gonna. I'll try not to go off on a tangent on that, but follow us on socials on the gram at Blogger Show Podcast. Personal socials for me for TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook would be TN Trucker Chris. On X, I am CEAZ Freedom, and you can find a blog, tntruckerchris.wordpress.com, and anybody who wants to have your stories read, or your stories possibly read on the show, email them to me at bloggershowpodcast@gmail.com, and I will, I'll definitely, as long as it's, appropriate to be read on a podcast, to be read on the air, then I could feature your story live on the show for one of the Storytime Friday episodes. So anybody that wants to donate and support the show, go to blogetshow.com. That's BLOGGETSHOW.com/support, SUPPORT. To do a one-time donation or a recurring. Anything works. As low as $1 one time, or if you want to do $1 recurring, hey, everything that'll come in basically will help towards hosting costs or getting merch out there, and basically making things happen with the show. But anything and everything is appreciated. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. But on that note, you guys keep being awesome. Keep doing what you gotta do. Look forward to seeing you guys on Storytime Friday later on this week. And I will talk to you guys again on the next episode. Have a good one.